Hey everyone, we're back. Got my cup of coffee in my very witchy cup. Very appropriate. Because now we're officially into spooky season. Very, very happy. So, there we are. So for those that are just watching this, I have done a previous live stream reading books 1 and 2, so Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. This is a Back to Hogwarts series that I was meant to do as proper videos on my channel, but the videos weren't uploading properly, and I don't know why. A couple of them were. It meant I would have to refilm or re-edit, so I just thought, I'll ask you guys what you want me to do. You want me to go live, so you can thank my subscribers for this. They voted, they want me to go live. And I will take a moment just to see if anyone comes in, but we'll be reading a chapter from The Prisoner of Azkaban next, and it is my favourite book. This is my favourite book, and my favourite film. I know everyone's like, why? But I don't know why. There's a thing that is like, why is every girl's favourite Prisoner of Azkaban? And everyone reckons it's Sirius Black, and it's like, it's not my reason I like it. It's just, I think this is just because this is a moment where you realise it's not as happy worldy, wizardy school as you think. It gets a little bit darker. And I like it. And I like the way Alphonse Cuarón did the movie. I thought his direction was beautiful, and why couldn't we kept him? Could they not gotten him for another one? So what chapter are we reading? Chapter 5. Where's chapter 5? Any guesses on what chapter 5 is? If it's Harry's journey to Hogwarts that I'm reading each chapter for, so take a guess at what this is. What chapter this is. I'm very excited. I think I got over the jitters of the first one. Even though I'm talking to myself right now because there's no one here, but I'm sure there will be in the future, which is fine with me. So, I will just get started. We will be reading chapter 5, The Dementor. And my co-host is still here. He's just sleeping behind me now because I can't have him on my lap. Tom woke Harry the next morning with his usual toothless grin and a cup of tea. Harry got dressed and was just persuading a disgruntled Hedwig to get back into her cage when Ron banged his way into his room, pulling a sweater over his head and looking irritable. The sooner we get on that train, the better, he said. At least I can get away from Percy at Hogwarts. Now he's accusing me of dripping tea on his photo of Penelope Clearwater. You know, Ron grimaced. His girlfriend. She hid her face under the frame because her nose got all blotchy. I've got to tell you something, Harry began, but they were interrupted by Fred and George, who had looked in to congratulate Ron on infuriating Percy again. They headed down to breakfast, where Mr. Weasley was reading the front page of the Daily Prophet. With a frowned brow, and Miss Weasley was telling Hermione and Ginny about a love potion she'd made as a young girl. I thought all three of them were rather giggly. What were you saying? Ron asked Harry as they sat down. Later, Harry muttered as Percy stormed in. Harry had no chance to speak to Ron or Hermione in the chaos of leaving. They were too busy heaving all their trunks down the leaky cauldron's narrow staircase and piling them up near the door, with Hedwig and Hermes, Percy's screech owl, perched on top of their cages, and a small wickerwork basket stood beside the heap of trunks, spitting loudly. It's all right, Crookshanks, Hermione cooed through the wickerwork. I'll let you out on the train. No, you won't, snapped Ron. What about Puss Scabbers, eh? He pointed at his chest, where a large lump indicated that Scabbers was curled up in his pocket. Mr. Weasley, who had been outside waiting for the ministry cars, stuck his head in. They're here, he said. Harry, come on. Mr. Weasley marched Harry across the short stretch of pavement towards the first of two old-fashioned dark green cars, each of which was driven by a furtive-looking wizard wearing a suit of emerald velvet. In you get, Harry, said Mr. Weasley, glancing up and down the crowded street. Harry got into the back of the car and was shortly joined by Hermione, Ron, and to Ron's disgust, Percy. The journey to King's Cross was very uneventful compared to Harry's trip on the night bus. The Ministry of Magic cars seemed almost ordinary, though Harry noticed that they could slide through gaps that Uncle Vernon's new company car certainly could not have managed. They reached King's Cross with 20 minutes to spare. The Ministry drivers found them trolleys, unloaded their trunks, touched their hat to Mr. Weasley, and drove away, somehow managing to jump to the head of an unmoving queue for the traffic lights. Mr. Weasley kept close to Harry's elbow all the way into the station. Right then, he said, glancing around. Let's do this in pairs, as there's so many of us. I'll go through first with Harry. Mr. Weasley strolled towards the barrier between platforms 9 and 10, pushing Harry's trolley, and apparently very interested in the inner city 125 that had just arrived at platform 9. With a meaningful look at Harry, he leant casually against the barrier. Harry imitated him. The next moment, they'd fallen sideways through the solid metal onto platform 9 3/4 and looked up to see the Hogwarts Express, a scarlet steam engine puffing smoke over a platform packed with witches and wizards seeing their children onto the train. Percy and Ginny suddenly appeared behind Harry. They were panting and apparently taking the barrier at a run. Ah, there's Penelope, said Percy, smoothing his hair and going pink again. Ginny caught Harry's eye, and they both turned away to hide their laughter, as Percy strode over to a girl with long curly hair, walking with his chest thrown out so that she couldn't miss his shiny badge. Once the remaining Weasleys and Hermione had joined them, Harry and Mr. Weasley led the way to the end of the train, past packed compartments, to a carriage that looked quite empty. They loaded the trunks onto it, stowed Hedwig and Crookshanks in the luggage rack, then went back outside to say goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. Miss Weasley kissed all her children, then Hermione, and finally Harry. He was embarrassed, but was really quite pleased when she gave him an extra hug. Do take care, won't you, Harry? She said as she straightened up, her eyes oddly bright. Then she opened her enormous handbag and said, I made your sandwiches. Here you are, Ron. No, they're not corned beef. Fred? Where's Fred? There you are, dear. Harry, said Mr. Weasley quietly, come over here a moment. He jerked his head towards a pillar, and Harry followed behind it, leaving the others crowded around Miss Weasley. There's something I've got to tell you before you leave, said Mr. Weasley in a tense voice. It's all right, Mr. Weasley, said Harry. I already know. You know? How could you know? I heard you and Mrs. Weasley talking last night. I couldn't help hearing, Harry added quickly. Sorry. That's not the way I'd chosen you to find out, said Mr. Weasley, looking anxious. No, honestly, it's okay. This way you haven't broken your word to Fudge, and I know what's going on. Harry, you must be very scared. I'm not, said Harry sincerely. Really, he added, because Mr. Weasley was looking disbelieving. I'm not trying to be a hero, but seriously, Sirius Black can't be worse than Voldemort, can he? Mr. Weasley flinched at the sound of the name, but overlooked it. Harry, I knew you were all, well, made of stronger stuff than Fudge seems to think, and I'm obviously pleased that you're not scared, but... Arthur! Called Mrs. Weasley, who was now shepherding the rest onto the train. Arthur, what are you doing? It's about to go. Coming, Molly, said Mrs. Weasley, as he turned back to Harry, talking in a lower and more hushed voice. Listen, I want you to give me your word that I'll be a good boy and stay in the castle, said Harry gloomily. Not entirely, said Mr. Weasley, who looked more serious than Harry had ever seen him. Harry, swear to me, you won't go looking for Black. Harry stared. What? There was a loud whistle. Guards were walking along the train, slamming all the doors shut. Promise me, Harry, said Mr. Weasley, talking more quickly still, that whatever happens. Why would I go looking for someone I know wants to kill me? Said Harry blankly. Swear to me that whatever you might hear. Arthur! Quickly! Cried Miss Weasley. Steam was billowing from the train. It had started to move. Harry ran to the compartment door, and Ron threw it open and stood back to let him on. He leant out the window and waved to Mr. and Mrs. Weasley until the train turned a corner and blocked them from view. I need to talk to you in private, Harry muttered to Ron and Hermione as the train picked up speed. Go away, Ginny, said Ron. Oh, that's nice, said Ginny huffily, and she stalked off. Harry, Ron and Hermione set down to the corridor, looking for an empty compartment, but all were full except for one at the very end of the train. This only had one occupant, a man sitting fast asleep next to the window. Harry, Ron and Hermione checked on the threshold. The Hogwarts Express was usually reserved for students, and they had never seen an adult there before, except for the witch who pushed the food trolley. The stranger was wearing an extremely shabby set of wizard robes, which had been darned in several places. He looked ill and exhausted. Though he seemed quite young, his light brown hair was flecked with grey. Who do you reckon he is? Ron asked, as he sat down and slid the door shut, taking the seats furthest away from the window. Professor R.J. Lupin, whispered Hermione. How do you know that? It's on his case, replied Hermione, pointing at the luggage rack over the man's head, where there was a small, battered case held together with a large quantity of neatly knotted string, and the name Professor R.J. Lupin was stamped across one of the corners in the peeling letters. I wonder what he teaches, said Ron, frowning at Professor Lupin's pallid profile. That's obvious, whispered Hermione. There's only one vacancy, isn't there? Defense against the dark arts. Harry, Ron, and Hermione already had 2 defense against the dark arts teachers, both of whom had only lasted 1 year. There was rumours that the job was jinxed. Well, I hope he's up to it, said Ron doubtfully. He looks like one good Hex would finish him off, doesn't he? Anyway, he turned to Harry. What were you going to tell us? He explained all about Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's argument and the warning Mr. Weasley had given him. When he finished, Ron looked thunderstruck, and Hermione had her hands over her mouth. She finally lowered them to say, Sirius Black's escaped to come after you. Oh, Harry, you'll have to be really, really careful. Don't go looking for trouble, Harry. I don't go looking for trouble, said Harry, nettled. Trouble usually finds me. How thick would Harry have to be to go looking for a nut who wants to kill him? Said Ron shakily. They were taking the news worse than Harry expected. Both Ron and Hermione seemed to be much more frightened of Black than he was. No one's ever gotten out of Azkaban, said Ron uncomfortably. No one's ever done it before. And he was a top security prisoner too. But they'll catch him, won't they? Said Hermione earnestly. I mean, they've got all the muggles looking for him too. What's that noise? Said Ron suddenly. A faint, tinny sort of whistle was coming from somewhere. They looked all around the compartment. It's coming from your trunk, Harry, said Ron, standing up and reaching into the luggage rack. A moment later, he had pulled the pocket sneakoscope out from between Harry's robes. It was spinning very fast in the palm of Ron's hand and glowing brightly. Is that a sneakoscope? Said Hermione, interestedly standing up for a better look. Yeah, mind you, it's a very cheap one, said Ron. It went haywire when I was trying to get it to Errol's leg to send it to Harry. Were you doing anything untrustworthy at the time? Said Hermione shrewdly. No. Well, I suppose I wasn't supposed to be using Errol. You know, he's not really up for long journeys. But how else was I supposed to get Harry's present to him? Stick it back in the trunk, Harry advised as the sneakoscope whistled fiercely, or it'll wake him up. He nodded towards Professor Lupin. Ron stuffed the sneakoscope in a particularly horrible pair of Uncle Vernon's old socks, which deadened the sound, then closed the lid of the trunk on it. We could get it checked in Hogsmeade, said Ron, sitting back down. There's all sorts of things in Derbyshire Banks, magical instruments and stuff. Fred and George told me. Do you know much about Hogsmeade? Asked Hermione keenly. I've read it's the only entirely non-magical settlement in Britain. Yeah, I think it is, said Ron, in an off-handed sort of way. But that's not where I want to go. I just want to get inside Honeydukes. What's that? Said Hermione. It's a sweet shop, said Ron. A dreamy look came over his face, where there's got everything. Pepper imps, they make smoke out your mouth, and great fat choco balls full of strawberry mousse and clotted cream, and really excellent sugar quills, which you can suck in class. It just looks like you're thinking what to write next. But Hogsmeade's a very interesting place, isn't it? Said Hermione, pressed eagerly. It cites of historical sorcery. It says the inn and the headquarters for the said the inn was the headquarters for the 1612 Goblet Rebellion, and the Shrieking Shack's supposed to be the most severely haunted building in Britain. And massive sherbet bowls that make you levitate a few inches off the ground while you're sucking them, said Ron, who was plainly not listening to a word Hermione said. Hermione looked at Harry. Wouldn't it be nice to get out of school for a bit and explore Hogsmeade? Expect it will, said Harry heavily. You'll have to tell me when you find out. What do you mean? Said Ron. I can't go. The Dursley didn't sign my permission form, and Fudge wouldn't either. Ron looked horrified. You're not allowed to come? But no way. McGonagall or someone will give you permission. Harry gave a hollow laugh. Professor McGonagall, head of Gryffindor House, was very strict. Or we can ask Fred and George. They know every secret passageway out of the castle. Ron, said Hermione sharply. I don't think Harry should be sneaking out of the school with Black on the loose. Yeah, I suspect that's what McGonagall will say when I ask for permission, said Harry bitterly. But if we're with him, said Ron spurtedly to Hermione, Black wouldn't dare. Oh, Ron, don't talk rubbish, snapped Hermione. Black's already murdered a whole bunch of people in the middle of a crowded street. Do you really think he's going to worry about attacking Harry just because we're there? She was fumbling with the straps of Cruikshank's basket as she spoke. Don't let that thing out, Ron said, but too late. Cruikshanks leapt lightly from the basket, stretched, yawned, and sprang onto Ron's knees. The lump in Ron's pocket trembled, and he shoved Cruikshanks away angrily. Get out of it! Ron, don't! Said Hermione angrily. Ron was about to answer back when Professor Lupin stirred. They watched him, apprehensively, but he simply turned his head the other way, mouth slightly open, and slept on. The Hogwarts Express moved steadily north, and the scenery outside the window became wilder and darker, while the clouds overhead thickened. People were chasing backwards and forwards past the door of the compartment. Cruikshanks had now settled into an empty seat, his squashed face turned towards Ron. his yellow eyes on Ron's top pocket. At 1 o'clock, the plump witch with the food trolley arrived at the compartment door. Do you think we should wake him up? Ron asked awkwardly, nodding towards Professor Lupin. He looks like he could do with some food. Hermione approached Professor Lupin cautiously. Professor? She said. Excuse me, Professor? He didn't move. Don't worry, dear, said the witch. She handed Harry a large stack of cauldron cakes. If he's hungry when he wakes, I'll be up front with the driver. I suppose he is asleep, said Ron quietly as the witch slid the compartment door closed. I mean, he hasn't died, has he? No, he's breathing, whispered Hermione, taking the cauldron cake Harry passed her. He might not have been very good company, but Professor Lupin's presence in their compartment had its uses. Mid-afternoon, just as it started to rain, blurring the rolling hills outside the window, they heard footsteps in the corridor again, and three of their least favourite people appeared at the door. Draco Malfoy, flanked by his cronies Vincent Crabbe and Gregory Goyle. Draco Malfoy and Harry had been enemies ever since they'd first met on their first train journey to Hogwarts. Malfoy, who had pale, pointed, sneery face, was in Slytherin House. He played Seeker on the Slytherin Quidditch team, the same position that Harry played on the Gryffindor team. Crabbe and Goyle seemed to exist to do Malfoy's bidding. They're both wide and muscly. Crabbe was taller, with a pudding basin haircut and a very thick neck. Goyle had short bristle hair and long gorilla arms. Well, look who it is, said Malfoy in his usual lazy drawl, pulling open the compartment door. Potty and the Weasel. Crabbe and Goyle chuckled trollishly. Had your father finally got his hands on some gold this summer, Weasley? Said Malfoy. Did your mother die of shock? Ron stood up so quickly he knocked Cruikshank's basket to the floor. Professor Lupin gave a snort. Who's that? Said Malfoy, taking an automatic step backwards as he spotted Lupin. New teacher, said Harry, who'd got to his feet too in case he needed to hold Ron back. What were you saying, Malfoy? Malfoy's pale eyes narrowed. He wasn't fool enough to pick a fight right under a teacher's nose. Come on, he muttered resentfully to Crabbe and Goyle, and they disappeared. Harry and Ron sat back down. Ron massaged his knuckles. I'm not going to take any rubbish off Malfoy this year, he said angrily. I mean it. If he makes one more crack about my family, I'm going to get a hold of his head and... Ron made a violent gesture midair. Ron, hissed Hermione, pointing to Professor Lupin. Be careful. But Professor Lupin was still fast asleep. The rain thickened as the train sped further north, and the windows were now a solid shimmering grey, which gradually darkened until lanterns flickered into life along the corridors and over the luggage racks. The train rattled, the rain hammered, the wind soared, but still, Professor Lupin slept. Must be nearly there, said Ron, leaning forward to look past Professor Lupin and out the completely black window. The words had hardly left him when the train started to slow down. Brilliant, said Ron, getting up and walking carefully past Professor Lupin to try and see outside. I'm starving. I want to get to the feast. We can't be there yet, said Hermione, checking her watch. So why are we stopping? The train was getting slower and slower. As the noise of the pistons fell away, the wind and rain sounded louder than ever against the window. Harry, who was the nearest to the door, got up to look into the corridor. All along the carriage, heads were sticking curiously out of the compartments. The train came to a stop with a jolt, and distant thuds and bangs told them that luggage had fallen out of the racks. Then, without warning, all the lamps went out, and they were plunged into total darkness. What's going on? Said Ron's voice from behind Harry. Ouch! Gasped Hermione. Ron, that was my foot! Harry felt his way back to his seat. Do you think we've broken down? Dunno. There was a squeaking sound, and Harry saw the dim black outline of Ron wiping a patch clean on the window and peering out. There's something moving out there, Ron said. I think people are coming aboard. The compartment door suddenly opened and someone fell painfully over Harry's legs. Sorry. Do you know what's going on? Sorry. Hello, Neville, said Harry, feeling around in the dark and pulling Neville up by his cloak. Harry, is that you? What's happening? No idea. Sit down. There was loud hissing and a yelp of pain. Neville tried to sit on Cruikshanks. Hi, Mackenzie. I'm going to go and ask the driver what's going on, came Hermione's voice. Harry felt her pass him, heard the door slide open, and then a thud and two loud squeals of pain. Who's that? Who's that? Ginny? Hermione? What are you doing? I was looking for Ron. Come in and sit down. Not here, said Harry hurriedly. I'm here. Out, said Neville. Quiet. a hoarse voice suddenly. Professor Lupin appeared to have woken up at last. Harry could hear movements in his corner. None of them spoke. There was a soft crackling noise, and a shivering light filled the compartment. Professor Lupin appeared to be holding a handful of flames. They illuminated his tired grey face, but his eyes looked alert and weary. "Stay where you are," he said, in the same hoarse voice, and he slowly got to his feet with his handful of fire held out in front of him. But the door slid slowly open before Lupin could reach it. Standing in the doorway, illuminated by the shivering flames in Lupin's hand, was a cloaked figure that towered to the ceiling. Its face was completely hidden beneath its hood. Harry's eyes darted downwards, and what he saw made his stomach contract. There was a hand protruding from the cloak, and it was glistening greyish, slimy looking, and scabbed, like something dead that decayed in the water. It was visible only for a split second. As though the creature beneath the cloak sensed Harry's gaze, the hand was suddenly withdrawn into the folds of the black material. And then, the thing beneath the hood, whatever it was, drew a long, slow, rattling breath, as though it was trying to suck something more than air from its surroundings. An intense cold swept over all of them. Harry felt his own breath catch in his chest. The cold went deeper than his skin. It was inside his chest. It was inside his heart. Harry's eyes rolled into the back of his head. He couldn't see. He was drowning in cold. There was a rushing in his ears as though of water. He was being dragged downwards, the roaring growing louder. And then, from far away, he heard screaming. Terrible, terrified, pleading screams. He wanted to help whoever it was. He tried to move his arms but couldn't. A thick white fog was swirling around him, inside him. "Harry! Harry, you all right?" Someone was slapping his face. "What?" Harry opened his eyes. There were lanterns above him, and the floor was shaking. The Hogwarts Express was moving again, and the lights had come back on. He seemed to have slid out of his seat onto the floor. Ron and Hermione were kneeling next to him, and above them he could see Neville and Professor Lupin watching. Harry felt very sick. When he put up his hand to push his glasses back on, he felt cold sweat on his face. Ron and Hermione heaved him back into his seat. "You okay?" Ron asked nervously. "Yeah," said Harry, looking quickly towards the door. The hooded creature had vanished. "What happened? Where's that thing? Who screamed?" "No one screamed," said Ron, more nervously still. Harry looked around the bright compartment. Ginny and Neville looked back at him, both very pale. "But I heard screaming." A loud snap made them all jump. Professor Lupin was breaking an enormous slab of chocolate into pieces. "Here," he said to Harry, handing him a particularly large piece. "Eat, it'll help." Harry took the chocolate, but didn't eat it. "What was that thing?" he asked Lupin. "A Dementor," said Lupin, who was now giving chocolate to everyone else. "One of the Dementors of Azkaban." Everyone stared at him. Professor Lupin crumpled up the empty chocolate wrapper and put it in his pocket. "Eat," he repeated. "It'll help. I need to speak to the driver. Excuse me." He strolled past Harry and disappeared into the corridor. "You sure you're okay, Harry?" said Hermione, watching Harry anxiously. "I don't get it. What happened?" said Harry, wiping more sweat off his face. "Well, that thing, the Dementor, stood there and looked around. I mean, I think it did. I couldn't see his face. And you... I thought you were having a fit or something," said Ron, who still looked scared. "You went sort of rigid and fell out your seat and started twitching. And Professor Lupin stepped over you and walked towards the Dementor. And he pulled out his wand," said Hermione. "And he said, 'None of us is hiding Sirius Black under our cloaks. Go.' But the Dementor didn't move. So Lupin muttered something, and a silvery thing shot out of his wand at it, and it turned around and sort of glided away." "It was horrible," said Neville, in a higher voice than usual. "Did you feel how cold it was when it came in?" "I felt weird," said Ron, shifting his shoulders uncomfortably. "I could never be cheerful again." Ginny, who was huddled in her corner, looked nearly as bad as Harry felt, gave a small sob. Hermione went over and put a comforting arm around her. "But didn't any of you—" "Fall out your seats," said Harry awkwardly. "No," said Ron, looking anxiously at Harry again. Ginny was shaking like mad, though. Harry didn't understand. He felt weak and shivery, as though he was recovering from a bad bout of flu. He also felt the beginnings of shame. Why had he gone to pieces like that when no one else had? Professor Lupin had come back. He paused as he entered, looking around and said, with a small smile, "I haven't poisoned the chocolate, you know." Harry took a bite and, to his great surprise, felt warmth spread suddenly to the tips of his fingers and toes. "We'll be at Hogwarts in 10 minutes," said Lupin. "Are you all right, Harry?" Harry didn't ask how Professor Lupin knew his name. "Fine," muttered Harry, embarrassed. They didn't talk much during the remainder of the journey. At long last the train stopped at Hogsmeade Station, and there was a giant scramble to get out. Owls hooted, cats meowed, and Neville's pet toad croaked loudly from under his hat. It was freezing on the tiny platform. The rain was driving down in icy sheets. "First years this way," called a familiar voice. Harry, Ron, and Hermione turned and saw a gigantic outline of Hagrid at the other end of the platform, beckoning the terrified-looking new students forward for their traditional journey across the lake. "You all right, you three?" Hagrid yelled over the heads of the crowd. They waved at him, but had no chance to speak to him because the mass of people around them were shutting them along the platform. Harry, Ron, and Hermione followed the rest of the school out onto a rough mud track, where at least 100 stagecoaches awaited the remaining students, each pulled, Harry could only assume, by an invisible horse, because when they climbed inside one and shut the door, the coach set off all by itself, bumping and swaying in procession. The coach smelled faintly of mould and straw. Harry felt better since the chocolate, but still weak. Ron and Hermione kept looking at him sideways, as though frightened he might collapse again. As the carriage trundled towards a pair of magnificent wrought iron gates, flanked with stone columns topped with winged boars, Harry saw 2 more towering hooded Dementors standing guard on either side. A wave of cold sickness threatened to engulf him again. He leant back into the lumpy seat and closed his eyes until they passed through the gates. The carriage picked up speed on the long slope drive up to the castle. Hermione was leaning out of the tiny window, watching the many turrets and towers draw nearer. At last, the carriage swayed to a halt, and Hermione and Ron got out. As Harry stepped down, a drawling, delightful voice sounded in his ear. "You fainted, Potter." "Is Longbottom telling the truth? You actually fainted." Malfoy elbowed past Hermione to block Harry's way up the stone steps to the castle, his face gleeful and his pale eyes glinting maliciously. "Shove off, Malfoy," said Ron, whose jaw was clenched. "Did you faint as well, Weasley?" said Malfoy loudly. "Did the scary Dementor frighten you too, Weasley?" "Is there a problem?" said a mild voice. Professor Lupin had just got out of the next carriage. Malfoy gave Professor Lupin an insolent stare, which took in the patches of his robes and his suitcase. With a tiny hint of sarcasm in his voice, he said, "Oh, no, Professor." Then he smirked at Crabbe and Goyle and led them up the steps to the castle. Hermione prodded Ron in the back to make him hurry, and the 3 of them joined the crowd swarming up the steps through the giant oak front doors and into the carnivorous entrance hall, which was lit with flaming torches and holding a magnificent marble staircase which led to the upper floors. The door in the great hall stood open at the right. Harry followed the crowd towards it, but had barely glimpsed the enchanted ceiling, which was black and cloudy tonight, when a voice called, "Potter, Granger, I want to see you both." Harry and Hermione turned around, surprised. Professor McGonagall, Transfiguration teacher and head of Gryffindor House, was calling over the heads of the crowd. She was a stern-looking witch who wore her hair in a tight bun. Her sharp eyes were framed with square spectacles. Harry fought his way over to her with a feeling of foreboding. Professor McGonagall had a way of making him feel that what he'd done was something wrong. "There's no need to look worried. I just want a word in my office," she told them. "Move along there, Weasley." Ron stared as Professor McGonagall ushered Harry and Hermione away from the chattering crowd. They accompanied her across the entrance hall, up the marble staircase, and along the corridor. Once they were in her office, a small room with a large, welcoming fire, Professor McGonagall motioned Harry and Hermione to sit down. She settled herself behind her desk and said abruptly, "Professor Lupin sent an owlet to say that you were taken ill in the train, Potter." Before Harry could reply, there was a soft knock on the door, and Madame Pomfrey, the matron, came bustling in. Harry felt himself going red in the face. It was bad enough that he passed out or whatever he'd done, without everyone making all this fuss. "I'm fine," he said. "I don't need anything." "Oh, it's you, is it?" said Madame Pomfrey, ignoring this and bending down to stare closely at him. "I suppose you've been doing something dangerous again." "It was a Dementor, Poppy," said Professor McGonagall. They exchanged a dark look, and Madame Pomfrey clucked disapprovingly. "Setting Dementors around a school," she muttered, pushing Harry's hair back and feeling his forehead. "You won't be the first one who collapses." "Yes, it's all clammy. Terrible things they are, and the effect they have on people who are already delicate." "I'm not delicate," said Harry crossly. "Of course you're not," said Madame Pomfrey absent-mindedly, now taking his pulse. "What does he need?" said Professor McGonagall crisply. "Bed rest? Should he perhaps spend the night in the hospital wing?" "I'm fine," said Harry, jumping up. The idea of what Draco Malfoy would say if he had to go to the hospital wing was torture. "Well, he should have some chocolate at least," said Madame Pomfrey, who was now trying to peer into Harry's eyes. I already had some, said Harry. Professor Lupin gave me some. He gave it to all of us. Did he now? Said Madame Pomfrey approvingly. So we finally have a defence against the dark arts teacher who knows his remedies. Are you sure you're feeling all right, Potter? Said Professor McGonagall sharply. Yes, said Harry. Very well. Kindly wait outside while I have a quick word with Miss Granger about her timetable. Then we can go down to the feast together. Harry went back into the corridor with Madame Pomfrey, who left the hospital wing, muttering to herself. He'd only had to wait a few minutes, then Hermione emerged, looking very happy about something, followed by Professor McGonagall, and the three of them made their way back down the marble staircase to the Great Hall. It was a sea of pointed black hats. Each of the long house tables were lined with students, their faces glimmering by the light of 1,000 candles which were floating over the tables in mid-air. Professor Flitwick, who was a tiny little wizard with a stook of white hair, was carrying an ancient hat and a three-legged stool out of the hall. "Ah," said Hermione, "we missed the sorting." New students at Hogwarts were sorted into houses by trying on the sorting hat, which shouted out the house they were best suited to: Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, or Slytherin. Professor McGonagall strode towards her empty seat at the staff table, and Harry and Hermione set off in the other direction as quietly as possible towards the Gryffindor table. People looked around at them and they passed along the back of the hall, and a few of them pointed at Harry. Had the story of him collapsing in front of a Dementor travelled that fast? He and Hermione sat down either side of Ron, who had saved them seats. "What was all that about?" he muttered to Harry. Harry started to explain in a whisper, but at that moment the headmaster stood up to speak and he broke off. Professor Dumbledore, though very old, always gave an impression of great energy. He had several feet of long silver hair and beard, half-moon spectacles, and an extremely crooked nose. He was often described as the greatest wizard of the age, but that wasn't why Harry respected him. He couldn't help but trust Albus Dumbledore, and as Harry watched him beaming around at the students, he felt really calm for the first time since the Dementor had entered the train compartment. "Welcome," said Dumbledore, the candlelight shimmering on his beard. "Welcome to another year at Hogwarts. I have a few things to say to you all, and one of them is very serious. I think it's best to get out of the way before you become befuddled by our excellent feast." Dumbledore cleared his throat and continued. "As you will all be aware, after the search of the Hogwarts Express, our school's presently playing host to some of the Dementors of Azkaban, who are here on Ministry Magic business." He paused, and Harry remembered what Mr. Weasley said about Dumbledore not being happy with the Dementors guarding the school. "They're stationed at every entrance to the grounds," Dumbledore continued, "and while they are with us, I must make it plain that nobody is to leave the school without permission. Dementors are not to be fooled by tricks or disguises, or even invisibility cloaks," he added blandly, and Harry and Ron glanced at each other. "It's not in the nature of a Dementor to understand pleading or excuses. I therefore warn each and every one of you to give them no reason to harm you. I look to the prefects and our new head boy and girl to make sure that no student runs foul of the Dementors." Percy, who was sitting a few seats along from Harry, puffed out his chest and stared around impressively. Dumbledore paused again. He looked very seriously around the hall, and nobody moved or made a sound. "On a happier note," he continued, "I'm pleased to welcome 2 new teachers to our ranks this year. Firstly, Professor Lupin, who's kindly considered to fill the post of Defence Against the Dark Arts teacher." There was some scattered, rather enthusiastic applause. Only those who had been in the compartment on the train with Professor Lupin clapped hard, Harry among them. Professor Lupin looked particularly shabby next to all the other teachers in their best robes. "Look at Snape," Ron hissed in Harry's ear. Snape, the potions master, was staring along the staff table at Professor Lupin. It was common knowledge that Snape wanted the Defence Against the Dark Arts job, but even Harry, who hated Snape, was startled at the expression twisted in his thin, swallow face. It was beyond anger. It was loathing. Harry knew the expression only too well. It was the look Snape wore every time he set eyes on Harry. "And our second new appointment," said Dumbledore, as the lukewarm applause for Lupin died away. "Well, I'm sorry to tell you that Professor Ketterburn, a Care Magical Creatures teacher, retired at the end of last year in order to enjoy more time with his remaining limbs. However, I'm delighted to say that his place will be filled by none other than Rubeus Hagrid, who has agreed to take on his teaching job in addition to his groundkeeper duties." Harry, Ron, and Hermione stared at each other, stunned. Then they joined in with the applause, which was tumultuous at the Gryffindor table in particular. Harry leant forward to see Hagrid's, who was ruby red in the face and staring down the staring down at his enormous hands, his wide grin hidden in the tangle of his black beard. "We should have known!" Ron roared, pounding the table. "Who else would have sent us a biting book?" Harry, Ron, and Hermione were the last to stop clapping, and as Professor Dumbledore started to speak again, they saw that Hagrid was wiping his eyes on the tablecloth. "Well, that's everything of importance," said Dumbledore. "Let the feast begin." The golden plates and goblets before them filled suddenly with food and drink. Harry, suddenly ravenous, helped himself to everything he could reach and began to eat. It was a delicious feast. The hall echoed with talk, laughter, and clatter of knives and forks. Harry, Ron, and Hermione, however, were eager for it to finish so they could talk to Hagrid. They knew how much being made a teacher would mean to him. Hagrid wasn't a fully qualified wizard. He'd been expelled from Hogwarts in his 3rd year for a crime that he did not commit. It had been Harry, Ron, and Hermione who'd cleared Hagrid's name last year. At long last, when the last morsels of pumpkin tart had melted from the golden plates, Dumbledore gave the word that it was time for them all to go to bed, and they got their chance. "Congratulations, Hagrid!" Hermione squealed as they reached the teacher's table. "All down to you 3, said Hagrid, wiping his shining face on his napkin as he looked up at them. "I can't believe it. Great man, Dumbledore. Came straight down to me after Professor Kettleburn said you had enough. It's what I've always wanted." Overcome with emotion, he buried his face in his napkin, and Professor McGonagall shooed them away. Harry, Ron, and Hermione joined the Gryffindor streaming up the marble staircase, and very tired now, along more corridors, up more and more stairs to the hidden entrance to Gryffindor Tower. A large portrait of a fat lady in a pink dress asked them, "Password?" "Come on, coming through, Percy called from behind the crowd. "The new password's Fortuna Major." "Oh no," said Neville Longbottom sadly. He's always had trouble remembering passwords. Through the portrait hole and across the common room, the girls and boys divided towards their separate staircases. Harry climbed the spiral stairs with no thought in his head except how glad he was to be back. They reached their familiar circular dormitory with its 5 four-poster beds, and Harry looked around. He was home at last. And I'm reading to myself, taking a little coffee break. Oh my god. So that was Prisoner of Azkaban. I'm going to take a couple minutes just to... And then we'll get on to Goblet of Fire. What chapter am I reading from Goblet of Fire again? 11. Chapter 11. Hi, if anyone's watching. I always feel like I need to explain myself. I don't know who's here, which is the annoying thing. I can only see how many people are here. But I'm reading a chapter from each of the Harry Potter books about Harry's journey to Hogwarts in that particular year. I was supposed to do them as proper videos. Oh, Kenzie, you're still here. I was supposed to do them as proper videos, but they weren't working. And I asked my subscribers, and they said go live and read them instead. So I'm doing it. I've done the first 2. They're in a video, so I'm sure you'll be able to find it on my channel. It was a live stream as well. It's my first time going live on YouTube, actually. How are you? Is it Mackenzie? I don't... Or can I just call you Kenzie? How are you? I'm just taking a couple minutes in between books because my voice is going. Like Mackenzie. Okay, Mackenzie. Got you. I'm bad with names. I'm so sorry. So it's like if I ever say anyone's name wrong, I'm like... Ugh. You were right. You were saying it right anyways. Yay! That's fine. I hope you're doing well. Oh my god. It's so weird being live because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like when I'm filming a video, it's easier. Did you watch the Back to Hogwarts? No, I haven't yet. I got up and I was getting ready to come live because I did my first video about 11:15, just before 11 o'clock, before the Hogwarts Express should leave. I've not watched it yet. I might watch some after, because after I read this, I'm going to go on another break and then come back and read 5 and 6. So between then and making a thumbnail for this video, I might go and have a quick look. Because I know there's nothing at King's Cross this year, which is understandable. But I know they're doing it at loads of, I think New York and Grand Central, they were doing something as well. And me and Alima were having a meet and greet today. A lot of my Instagram friends were going. I was supposed to go with them, but I couldn't afford to. And I don't live in London, so it's expensive. But I probably will. Is there anything good? Have they announced like anything new that's happening? I have seen though. Speaking of Goblet of Fire, I saw on one of my friends' pages. We were waiting a live event, and when the countdown finished, the stream ended. We thought they cancelled it, but they just did little videos. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I did hear, because I was reading Goblet of Fire next, I did hear that the tour, the Warner Brothers Studio Tour in London, might be doing something for Goblet of Fire next year, because on their X, which was Twitter, they put, I think it's time for us to host a certain tournament. So I'm thinking what they've done for Prisoner of Azkaban this year, they might be doing for Goblet of Fire. I've seen that. 11. I need to find the chapter. 9. No. If I remember from doing my videos, this chapter's quite short, which I was shocked at. I was like, this chapter is very short. They're doing the Yo Ball in Mexico and something about the tournament in London, but they won't say what. I'm guessing that's the tour. But I would love them for them to do Yo Ball in like London. I would love to go. Yes, I would try Wizard Tournament in London. Yeah. I'm guessing that's what the tour. Which is exciting because I think people were hoping for that since they did Prisoner of Azkaban this year. So maybe the year after might be Order of the Phoenix as well. So we might be getting more cool stuff, which is great. I love when they add stuff. I do like how they still have, obviously, London's too far away from me at the moment. Where do you live? I'm in the... Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm only like an hour away by plane, but by train, I'm like overnight. The Isle of Man. Wow! See, I'm in the Highlands of Scotland. And I'll get into London by plane's easier, and then by train, it's like overnight. It's near 24 hours. It's insane because I've done the overnight train, and it's don't do it. It's fun, but don't do it on your own because you'll be bored. See, it's so nice getting to speak to people from loads of different places on here. And it's insane how many people find my channel, and I'm like, they're from where? Okay. So we're going to be reading chapter 11. We just moved. I don't have any of my Harry Potter stuff because it's all in storage, but I made sure I kept my... Wands are important. Definitely keep your wands. You never know when you'll need it. You can see mine behind me right there. And I've got Umbridge's wand up above my head. See, why is it when you try and point? There. I'm trying to point in the screen and I can't do it. There it is. That's all my wands here. I'm going to get my book and read a... Oh, that's so cute. Okay. It's chapter 11. Aboard the Hogwarts Express. And I've had these books since I was younger, by the way, people, in case you're watching this later. Like these, I've had these since I was like little. Honestly, I don't have any other versions, really. Got it. Oh, that's so cute that you're going to read along. That's so cute. Oh. Okay. Let me know when you got the chapter, and then I'll start. My co-host is still here. He is just sleeping behind me. Okay, here we go. There's a definite end of the holiday gloom in the air when Harry awoke the next morning. Heavy rain was still splattering against the window as he got dressed in jeans and a sweatshirt. they could change into their school robes on the Hogwarts Express. He, Ron, Fred, and George had just reached the first floor landing on their way down to breakfast when Miss Weasley appeared at the foot of the stairs, looking harassed. "Arthur!" she called upstairs. "Arthur! Urgent message from the Ministry!" Harry flattened himself against the wall as Mr. Weasley came cluttering past with his robes on, back to front, and hurtled out of sight. When Harry and the others entered the kitchen, they saw Miss Weasley rummaging anxiously in the drawers. "I've got a quill here somewhere," and Mr. Weasley bending over the fire, talking to... Harry shut his eyes hard and opened them again to make sure that they were working properly. Amos Diggory's head was sitting in the middle of the flames like a large bearded egg. It was talking very fast, completely unperturbed by the sparks flying around it and the flames licking its ears. Muggle neighbours had banging and shouting, so they went out to call those, what do you call them? Policemen. "Arthur, you've got to get over there." "Here," said Miss Weasley, breathlessly pushing a piece of parchment, a bottle of ink, and a crumpled quill into Mr. Weasley's hands. "It's a real stroke of luck I heard about it," said Mr. Diggory's head. "I had to come into the office early to send a couple of owls, and I found the improper use of magic law all setting off. If Rita Skeeter gets a hold of this one, Arthur..." "What does Mad Eye say happened?" asked Mr. Weasley, unscrewing the ink bottle, loading up his quill, and preparing to take notes. Mr. Diggory's head rolled its eyes. "He says he heard an intruder in his yard. Says they were creeping towards the house, but they were ambushed by his dustbins." "What did the dustbins do?" asked Mr. Weasley, scribbling frantically. "Made one hell of a noise and fired rubbish everywhere as far as I can tell," said Mr. Diggory. "Apparently one of them still rocking around when the policeman turned up." Mr. Weasley groaned. "And what about the intruder?" "Arthur, you know Mad Eye," said Mr. Diggory's head, rolling its eyes again. "Someone's creeping into his yard at the dead of night. More than likely there was a shell-shocked cat wandering around somewhere, covered in potato peelings. But if the improper use of magic lock get their hands on Mad Eye, he's had it. Think of his record. We've got to get him off on a minor charge, something in your department. What are exploding dustbins worth?" "Might be a caution," said Mr. Weasley, still writing very fast, his brow furrowed. "Mad Eye didn't use his wand? Didn't attack anyone? I'll bet he leapt out of bed and started jinxing everything he could reach through the window," said Mr. Diggory. "But they'll have a job proving it. There aren't any casualties." "All right, I'm off," said Mr. Weasley. He stuffed the parchment with his notes on it into his pocket and dashed out the kitchen. Mr. Diggory's head looked around at Miss Weasley. "Sorry about this, Molly," it said, more calmly. "Bothering you so early and everything. But Arthur's the only one who can get Mad Eye off, and Mad Eye's supposed to be starting his new job today. Why did he have to choose last night?" "Never mind, Amos," said Miss Weasley. "Shall anyone have a bit of toast or anything before you go?" "Oh, go on then," said Mr. Diggory. Miss Weasley took a piece of buttered toast from a stack on the kitchen table, put it into the fire tongs, and transferred it into Mr. Diggory's mouth. "Thanks," he said in a muffled voice, and then with a small he was vanished. Harry could hear Mr. Weasley calling hurried goodbyes to Bill, Charlie, and Percy and the girls. Within 5 minutes he was back in the kitchen, his robes on, the white way round, dragging a comb through his hair. "Better hurry. You have a good turn, boys," said Mr. Weasley to Harry, Ron, and the twins, dragging a cloak over his shoulder and preparing to disapparate. "Molly, you going to be all right taking the kids to King's Cross?" "Of course I will," she said. "You just look after Mad Eye. We'll be fine." As Mr. Weasley vanished, Bill, Charlie, and Percy entered the kitchen. "Did someone say Mad Eye?" Bill asked. "What's he been up to now?" "Someone says he tried to break into his house last night," said Miss Weasley. "Mad Eye Moody," said George thoughtfully, spreading marmalade on his toast. "Isn't he that nutter?" "Your father thinks very highly of Mad Eye Moody," said Miss Weasley sternly. "Yeah, well, Dad collects plugs, doesn't he?" said Fred quietly as Miss Weasley left the room. "Birds of a feather." "Moody was a great wizard in his time," said Bill. "He's not afraid of Dumbledore, isn't he?" said Charlie. "Dumbledore's not what you call normal, though, is he?" said Fred. "I mean, I know he's a genius and everything." "Who is Mad Eye?" asked Harry. "He's retired. Used to work at the Ministry," said Charlie. "I met him once when Dad took me in to work with him. He was an aura, one of the best. A dark wizard catcher," he added, seeing Harry's blank look. "Half the cells in Azkaban are full because of him. Made himself loads of enemies, though. The families of the people he caught mainly. And I heard he's been getting really paranoid in his old age. Doesn't trust anyone anymore. Sees dark wizards everywhere." Bill and Charlie decided to come and see everyone off at King's Cross Station, but Percy, apologising most profusely, said that he was really needed to get to work. I just can't justify taking any more time off at the moment, he told them. Mr. Crouch is really starting to rely on me. Yeah, you know what, Percy, said George seriously. I reckon he'll know your name soon. Miss Weasley had braved the telephone in the village post office to order 3 ordinary muggle taxis to take them into London. Arthur tried to borrow ministry cars for us, Miss Weasley whispered to Harry as they stood in the rain-washed yard, watching the taxi drivers heaving 6 heavy Hogwarts trunks into their cars. But there weren't any spare. Oh dear, they don't look happy, do they? Harry didn't like to tell Miss Weasley that muggle taxi drivers really transported overexcited owls and Pigwidgeon was making an ear-splitting racket. Nor did it help that a number of Dr. Filibuster Fabulous no-heat wet start fireworks went off unexpectedly when Fred's trunk sprung open, causing the driver carrying it to yell with affright and a pain as Crookshanks clawed the way up the man's leg. The journey was uncomfortable. Owing to the fact that they were jammed in the back of the taxi with their trunks, Crookshanks took quite a while to recover from the fireworks. By the time they entered London, Harry, Ron and Hermione were all severely scratched. They were very relieved to get to King's Cross, even though the rain was coming down harder than ever, and they got soaked carrying their trunks across the busy road and into the station. Harry was used to getting onto the platform 9 3/4 by now. It was a simple matter of walking straight through the solid barrier dividing platforms 9 and 10. The only tricky part was doing this in an unobtrusive way so to avoid attracting Muggle attention. They did it in groups today. Harry, Ron and Hermione, the most conspicuous as they were accompanied by Pigwidgeon and Crookshanks, went first. They leant casually against the barrier, chatting unconcernedly, and slid sideways through it. And as they did so, platform 9 3/4 materialised in front of them. The Hogwarts Express, a gleaming scarlet steam engine, was already there, clouds of steam billowing from it, through which the many Hogwarts students and parents on the platform appeared like dark ghosts. Pigwidgeon became noisier than ever in response to the hooting of many owls through the mist. Harry, Ron and Hermione set off to find seats and were soon stowing their luggage in a compartment halfway along the train. They then hopped back down onto the platform to say goodbye to Miss Weasley, Bill and Charlie. I might see you all sooner than you think, said Charlie, grinning as he hugged Ginny goodbye. Why? Said Fred keenly. You'll see, said Charlie. Don't tell Percy I mentioned it. It's classified information until such a time Ministry seems fit to release it, after all. Oh, God. Yeah, I sort of wish I was back at Hogwarts this year, said Bill, hands in his pockets, looking almost wistfully at the train. Why? Said George impatiently. You're going to have a very interesting year, said Bill, his eyes twinkling. Might even get time off to come and watch a bit of it. A bit of what? Said Ron. But at the moment the whistle blew and Miss Weasley shivved them towards the train doors. Thanks for having us stay, Miss Weasley, said Hermione as they climbed on board, closed the door, and went out of the window to talk to her. Yeah, thanks for everything, Miss Weasley, said Harry. Oh, it's my pleasure, dear, said Miss Weasley. I'd invite you for Christmas, but I expect you're all going to want to stay at Hogwarts with one thing and another. Mum, said Ron irritably, what do you 3 know that we don't? You'll find out this evening, I expect, said Miss Weasley, smiling. It's going to be very exciting. Mind you, I'm very glad they've changed the rules. What rules? Said Harry, Ron, Fred and George together. I'm sure Professor Dumbledore will tell you. Now behave, won't you? Won't you, Fred? And you, George? The piston hissed loudly and the train began to move. Tell us what's happening at Hogwarts, Fred bellowed out the window as Miss Weasley, Bill and Charlie sped away from them. What rules are they changing? But Miss Weasley only smiled and waved. Before the train had rounded the corner, she, Bill, and Charlie had disappeared. Harry, Ron and Hermione went back to their compartment. The thick rain splattering the windows made it very difficult to see out of them. Ron undid his trunk, pulled out his maroon dress robes, and flung them over Pigwidgeon's cage to muffle his hooting. Bagman wanted to tell us what's happening at Hogwarts, he said grumpily, sitting down next to Harry. At the World Cup, remember? But my own mother. Wonder what... Shh, Hermione whispered, suddenly pressing her finger to her lips, pointing towards the compartment next to theirs. Harry and Ron listened and heard a familiar drawling voice drifting through the open door. Father actually considered sending me to Durmstrang rather than Hogwarts, you know. He knows the headmaster, you see. Well, you know his opinion on Dumbledore. The man's such a mudblood lover. And Durmstrang doesn't admit that sort of riffraff. But Mother didn't like the idea of me going to school so far away. Father says Durmstrang takes a far more sensible line than Hogwarts about the dark arts. Durmstrang students actually learn them, not just the defence rubbish we do. Hermione got up. tiptoed to the compartment door and slid it shut, blocking out Malfoy's voice. So he thinks Durmstrang would have suited him, does he? She said angrily. I wish he had gone. Then we wouldn't have to put up with him. Durmstrang's another wizarding school, said Harry. Yes, said Hermione sniffly. And it's got a horrible reputation. According to an appraisal of magical education in Europe, it puts a lot of emphasis on the dark arts. I think I've heard of it, said Ron vaguely. Where is it? What country? Nobody knows, do they? Said Hermione, raising her eyebrows. Why not? Said Harry. There's traditionally been a lot of rivalry between all the magic schools. Durmstrang and Beauxbatons like to conceal their whereabouts, so nobody can steal their secrets, said Hermione, matter-of-factly. Come off it, said Ron, starting to laugh. Durmstrang's got to be about the same size as Hogwarts. How are you going to hide a dirty great castle? But Hogwarts is hidden, said Hermione in surprise. Everyone knows that. Well, everyone who's read Hogwarts history anyway. You're a good reader. Oh, thank you. Just you then, said Ron. So go on. How'd you hide a... Hi. Yukti, is that how you say it? I'm not sure how you say your name, sorry. Just you then, said Ron. Go on. How'd you hide a place like Hogwarts? It's bewitched, said Hermione. If a muggle looks at it, all they'll see is a mouldering old ruin with a sign over the entrance saying, Danger! Do not enter! Unsafe! So Durmstrang just looks like a ruin to an outsider too? Maybe, said Hermione, shrugging. Or it might have a muggle repelling charms on it, like the World Cup Stadium. And to keep foreign wizards from finding it, they'll have made it unplottable. Come again? Well, you can't enchant a building. Well, you can enchant a building so it's impossible to plot on a map, can't you? If you say so, said Harry. But I think Durmstrang must be somewhere in the far north, said Hermione thoughtfully. Somewhere very cold, because they've got fur capes as part of their uniforms. Think of the possibilities, said Ron, dreamily. It's been so easy to push Malfoy off a glacier and make it look like an accident. Shame his mother likes him. The rain became heavier and heavier as the train moved further north. The sky was so dark and the wind was so steamy that the lanterns were lit by midday. The lunch trolley came rattling along the corridor, and Harry bought a large stack of cauldron cakes for them to share. Several of their friends looked in on them in the afternoon, including Seamus Finnegan, Dean Thomas, and Neville Longbottom, a round-faced, extremely forgetful boy who had been brought up by his formidable witch of a grandmother. Seamus was still wearing his Ireland rosette. Some of its magic seemed to be wearing off. It was still squeaking, Troy, Mullet, Moran, but in a very feeble, exhausted sort of way. After half an hour or so, Hermione, growing tired of the endless Quidditch talk, buried herself once more in the Standard Book of Spells, Grade 4, and started trying to learn a summoning charm. Neville listened jealously to the others' conversation as they relived the cup match. Gran didn't want to go, he said miserably. Wouldn't buy tickets. Sounded amazing, though. It was, said Ron. Look at this, Neville. He rummaged in his trunk up the luggage rack and pulled out a miniature figure of Victor Crumb. Oh, wow, said Neville enviously as Ron tipped Crumb onto his puggy hand. We saw him right up close as well, said Ron. We were in the top box. For the first and last time in your life, Weasley. Draco Malfoy had appeared in the doorway. Behind him stood Crabbe and Goyle, his enormous, thuggish cronies, both of whom appeared to have grown at least a foot during the summer. Evidently, they had overheard the conversation through the compartment door, which Dean and Seamus had left ajar. Don't remember asking you to join us, Malfoy, said Harry coolly. Weasley, what is that? Said Malfoy, pointing at Pigwidgeon's cage. A sleeve of Ron's dress robes was dangling from it, swaying with the motion of the train. The mouldy lace cuff was very obvious. Ron made to stuff the robes out of sight, but Malfoy was too quick for him. He seized the sleeve and pulled. Look at this, said Malfoy in ecstasy, holding up Ron's robes and showing Crabbe and Goyle. Weasley, you think of wearing these, were you? I mean, they are very fashionable about 1890. Eat dung, Malfoy, said Ron, the same colour as his dress robes as he snatched them back out of Malfoy's grip. Malfoy howled with deserved laughter. Crabbe and Goyle gawped stupidly. So, you're going to enter, Weasley? Going to try and bring a bit of glory to your family name? There's money involved as well, you know. You'll be able to afford some decent robes if you won. What are you talking about? Snapped Ron. Are you going to enter? Malfoy repeated. Suppose you will, Potter. Never miss a chance to show off, do you? Either explain what you're going on about, or go away, Malfoy, said Hermione testily over the top of the Standard Book of Spells, Grade 4. A gleeful smile spread across Malfoy's pale face. Don't tell me you don't know, he said, delighted. You've got a father and a brother at the ministry. You don't even know. My God, my father told me about it ages ago. Heard it from Cornelius Fudge. But then, father's always associated with the top people at the ministry. Maybe your father's too junior to know about it, Weasley. Yes, they probably don't talk about important stuff in front of him. Laughing once more, Malfoy beckoned to Crabbe and Goyle, and the three of them disappeared. Ron got to his feet and slammed the sliding door shut so hard behind them the glass shattered. Ron! Said Hermione, and she pulled out her wand and muttered, Reparo! And the glass shards flew back into a single pane and back into the door. Well, make it look like he knows everything we don't, Ron snarled. Father's always associated with the top people at the ministry. Dad could have got a promotion any time. He just likes it where he is. Of course he does, said Hermione quietly. Don't let Malfoy get to you, Ron. Him? Get to me, as if, said Ron, picking up one of the remaining cauldron cakes and squashing it to a pulp. Ron's bad mood continued for the rest of the journey. He didn't talk as much as he changed into their school robes and was still glowering when the Hogwarts Express slowed down at last and finally stopped in the pitch darkness of Hogsmeade Station. As the train doors opened, there was a rumble of thunder overhead. Hermione bundled Crookshanks up in her cloak, and Ron left his dress robes over Pigwidgeon as they left the train. Heads bent and eyes narrowed against the downpour. The rain was now coming down so thick and fast, it was as though buckets of ice-cold water were being emptied repeatedly over their head. Hi, Hagrid! Harry yelled, seeing a gigantic silhouette at the end of the platform. All right, Harry! Hagrid bellowed down, waving. See you at the face if you don't drown! First years traditionally reached the Hogwarts castle by sailing across the lake with Hagrid. Oh, I wouldn't fancy crossing the lake in this weather, said Hermione fervently, shivering as they inched slowly along the dark platform with the rest of the crowd. 100 horseless carriages stood waiting for them outside the station. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville climbed gratefully into one of them. The door shut with a snap, and a few moments later, with a great lurch, the long procession of carriages was rumbling and splashing its way up towards the Hogwarts school. That was Goblet of Fire. That is one of the shortest chapters that I've ever read. Damn, Josh, you've got loads of Harry Potter stuff. Most of this has been like years for collecting. Like I've only really proper started collecting a good couple of years ago. Most of these are from like family, and that was good. Oh, thanks. Most of the stuff is from like family and friends as gifts. I do the majority of my collecting secondhand, if that helps. So because you don't have to keep buying anything like inexpensive. I've been collecting for 9 years. Wow. You don't have to buy them from like say Noble Collection. Like there are people who will sell wands in decent condition secondhand. Like my Umbridge wand up here. I don't know why I'm up there. I got it on Vinted, which is a site for selling secondhand items. I got that on Vinted for like £20 and there's nothing wrong with it. These plates next to it, they came from a Litjoy box, and I found them on eBay for £6 and made it on a bow and did that myself. I just buy postcards and frame them because postcards are cheaper than prints sometimes. Yeah. Got most of my eBay is a great. I love eBay as well. I'm only 15, so I've been only collecting for like 5 years. Wow. Yeah, I've got a bit more years on you, but I don't think it matters the size of the collection. It's like everyone does. It's not whose wand that you have is your fave. Oh, I recently got Lally Hicks's wand from the Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. I got her wand for my birthday from my mum. Where is it? My other two are Lupin and Luna, because they're my two favorites. Like my favorite male character, my favorite female. But I'm obsessed with Lally Hicks's wand. And I'll get it out. So I don't know how good you're going to see it on this webcam, but I will try. I think Hermione's. I have Hermione's wand, but only for cosplay. I managed to get it for like £5 on Vinted because a little bit at the end chipped, but there's nothing else wrong with it. But yeah, I do like Hermione's wand. It's really pretty. I'm 14, but my parents read Harry Potter when I was 5, and so I'm upset. Yes, this is Lally Hicks's wand. This is my favorite wand at the moment. It's so pretty. It almost looks like a mermaid. It's so cute. I love it. My mum even loved it. She's like, I have to take a peek at what this is. And she opened it and was like, that is the most beautiful wand I've ever seen. I think Hermione's is my favourite one. That my favourite one. That one looks like a Death Eater one. It's if you look at her wand and you can look at it more closely, it looks more like a mermaid or like a carving that would be on the front of a pirate ship. That's what it looks like. I don't really have any dark. No, I don't have any Death Eater ones, or like I don't have Voldemort's wand yet or anything, because I just like to collect the characters that I like first, and then I'll get the rest of them. Because I have Lupin's, Luna's, Lollyhicks, Dumbledore's from Fantastic Beasts, the Golden Snitch wand, Hogwarts Architecture wand, and my own wand from Ollivanders. Who's your favorite character? Favorite female is Luna. Favorite male is Remus Lupin. I absolutely love them, both of them. I have tattoos for them on my leg, and I've got a Ravenclaw tattoo. I need to get more Harry Potter tattoos. I like Sirius and Hermione. Yeah, my sister loves Sirius Black. She has his wand. Hermione. I do like Hermione. I just feel more of a connection with Luna in a way. But I do like how Hermione is not afraid to stand up for herself as well. I think she's a good role model for young witches. What are your guys' favorite movie? Like, what's your favorite film and book, if you have a favorite one? Luna is in her own world. That's what, yeah, because that's me. I do. I go in my own world sometimes, and my boyfriend's like, What are you thinking about?" And I'm like, "What?" Have started to like do cosplays for Luna. I'm trying to find costumes and things because I love her so much. And we're both in Ravenclaw, so how can I not? Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite film because it was the first with Sirius and it gets darker. Yeah, Prisoner is my favorite book and film, but for Lupin, not for Sirius. And yeah, I like that it gets darker. Like I think that's what I said when I was opening this video. I said I think it's my favorite because it starts to get dark. And but my mum said that when we started watching the films were years ago. She liked them, but she was like, I don't like how it gets darker and darker. And I'm like, Mum, that's the point. I'm like, that is the point. As much as it is like they say it's for kids, there is a lot of dark stuff in it. So you can see how it appeals to both kids and adults. Because there's a lot. Do you guys have a least favorite film? Or a least favorite book? Because I do. And a lot of people find it shocking that Harry Potter fans can say I have a least favorite film. Because one of my friends is like, I don't understand how you like it's shocking that you can say you have a least favorite Harry Potter film. Like, I do. I'm sorry, I just do. I love it when Sirius and Harry do Dolohov and Lucius and Sirius. But yes, that is like Gary Oldman improvised that. Like that wasn't in the script. I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes of that. It's just Oldman talking to the director, going, "I want to try a take where I walk up and I just deck him." It's so funny. So Gary Oldman came up with that. Like brilliant. Which one? The first film is my least favorite because it takes too long to get to Hogwarts. Does it? Oh, might, yeah. No, does it? Oh, it might do. I love how the director, yeah. I love it when actors improvise and the directors are just like, go with it. We'll keep it. My least favorite is Half Blood Prince. It's my second favorite book. I love the book. The film, no. I'm sorry, I don't like the film. I try to avoid it if possible, unless I'm doing a binge and I'm going through them all. I will watch it, but I try to avoid it. Too much. Yeah, when the director said behind the scenes, it's sort of the first rom-com I've done, I went, Harry Potter is not a rom-com. It is not a rom-com. It is not. Uh, which blood are you? What do you mean by that? Which blood are you? Do you mean like half blood, pure blood? Because both my parents are had gone to Hogwarts, so I'm guessing I'm a pure blood. one was a one was a Ravenclaw, one was a Hufflepuff, and then me and my twin, I'm a Ravenclaw, she's a Hufflepuff. So I'll take I'm a pure blood. I'll just go with a pure blood, but I'm not a mean pure blood. I'm not like keep the pure blood pure. It's not me. I'm just guessing. I don't know how I found out. I'm just guessing because my parents both took the quiz and they sort themselves, and then it's like they started being like, oh, imagine dad, you were on the Quidditch team and mum's in the herbology greenhouse and we just made it up. So I'm just guessing my parents are pure blood. I'm just going with it. I don't know. I don't mind being anything, to be honest. I don't mind. Are you Ravenclaw? Yes. Oh, no, wrong one. Yes, I am. I'm a full blown Ravenclaw, which was shocking. I love how I've just finished this book and now I'm just talking. Yes. What houses are you guys in? Do you know? Two Ravenclaws in the street. Yes. Ravenclaws. Both my parents are Ravenclaw. Cool. Would you like to be a Death Eater? No. No, I wouldn't like to be a Death Eater. No. Like all my family, like my mum and my dad's a Ravenclaw, I'm a Ravenclaw, my grandmother's a Ravenclaw. My twin is a Hufflepuff, my mum's a Hufflepuff, my aunt and my uncle are Hufflepuffs. My boyfriend's a Slytherin, and my sister's fiance is a Slytherin. There's no Gryffindors here. I would be Snape, double agent, and the eyes, the glasses. I'm a Slytherin. My boyfriend's a Slytherin. Like so, and so is my sister's fiance. So Slytherins are great. Like I don't mind having. I don't think all Slytherins are evil. It's just who you are and who you grow up to be. So we welcome all houses here. You're welcome. We welcome all houses here. I don't automatically think Slytherins are awful. It's just the way the film's done them. It doesn't help, obviously, that they put some of the worst people in Slytherin, but if that's the traits and that's who Salazar Slytherin was, I get that. But then when they sort, what's your Patronus? Bastard Hound. Do you like Snape or not? I'm in between. I don't know. I think he was an awful person. I get that he was bullied. Like James didn't help. Like I don't like James Potter. He was a bully. Um, and I think Snape being bullied, and then obviously Lily, who he loved, he couldn't tell he loved her. He called her the worst thing you could call her. He went off with She went off with his enemy essentially, and he didn't really have a lot of love in his life. I don't think, but I just don't think it was the right way to treat people as you went through it. I think James will protect Harry. Yeah, he does have his good moments. Don't get me wrong. He does have his good moments, but I don't know. I love Snape because I love Alan Rickman. Mine is a black. Ooh, nice. I think my sister's is a white stallion. My mum's is a dolphin, and my dad got a black and white cat for their Patronus. And I think my boyfriend got a buzzard because I think he did it. Yeah, he got a buzzard. Mine's is a Manx cat. Ooh, very nice. Very nice. I like the fact that I got a dog as my Patronus. I was happy. I love animals. I just love dogs. And it's the same as Eddie Redmayne's. There's no such thing as love. There's only power in those too weak to seek it. Okay. If you're not gonna make a dog. Probably a dog. Hi Jay, it's Ollie. Hi. Hi Ollie. Yeah, definitely. I would be a dog if I was an animagus. Definitely. I'm good. How are you? I just love how I finished this book like nearly half an hour ago, and I'm supposed to stop the stream, but I've just continued talking. Yeah. And all that great Rangers are down 2-0. Oh no. Oh, how long of the game is there left? I'm sure they can make a comeback, alls. But even if they don't win, it's fine. It's a game. They'll win next time. It's a learning process. 30 minutes left. Oh, they might be able to. I've seen that happen before. They might be able to squeeze a couple of goals in there. Do you guys have a least favorite card? Umbridge. Even though I've got her wand and that, I know, but there's something Imelda Staunton plays her so well. That or her or Rita Skeeter. I do not like Rita Skeeter at all. Those two. Dobby? Ollie? Why do you not like Dobby? What's he done? He doesn't do anything. Poor elf. Yes, I saw the video for the new park. Yes, it looks very interesting. The idea of it is insane, like how you're actually sitting in one of those big things. That is crazy. I'm looking forward to actually seeing it come to life. Like I don't think I'll be able to go, but who is stronger, Grindelwald or they're stronger in different ways. Grindelwald was very much more persuasive than Voldemort. Grindelwald used his mind, whereas Voldemort used his brawn and used the fact that he would hurt you. They're both strong in different ways. Grindelwald was more mind and Voldemort was more brawn. Like use people to, and yeah. So that's I don't know. I actually made Grindelwald my middle name. Like what? That's so cool. I actually like the character of Grindelwald. I do like Grindelwald because everyone doesn't like. Like I love his relationship with Dumbledore. Like I love like going in deep to it and figuring things out. Yeah, so I think Grindelwald and I like both versions of Grindelwald. I do prefer Mads over Johnny a wee bit, but I do like Mads as an actor. Not I don't like Johnny as an actor, but I think the hate that Mads got wasn't necessary, and he didn't want to play it the same as Johnny because that would overshadow what Johnny did, and he wanted to make it his own. And I completely understand that. And I was so upset when Johnny announced that he got let go, and I was like devastated. I started crying. I was on my mum's couch, and I was like, no. And I looked at my phone. I like both versions. Crimes of Grindelwald, Fiend Fire Scene is cool. It is cool. It is so cool. That is where I'm thinking, like, Grindelwald is stronger in the mind. Like, he's very persuasive, knows everyone's next move, obviously, because he's a seer. That he has a little bit of advantage like that, whereas Voldemort can't see, is not a seer. But Voldemort has the advantage that everyone fears his name. And he's going through reputation alone, and Grindelwald's very smart. And like, they're both very strong in different ways. Like, they're not, I think they're almost a bit equal. Have you guys read? Yes, I've seen Cursed Child. There's my tickets up there in that frame in the middle, the black one. I've seen Cursed Child. I like how he's what I guess spell when he wasn't. Yeah, because Grindelwald's just crazy. I didn't like. I would say if you can see it, it would be better because my drama teacher used to say scripts should be read. The play should be seen, not read. And when you read a play, it's hard. You can picture it, but it's hard to imagine. And then you've got all the stage directions in between, and that's where it can get a bit annoying. But having seen Cursed Child, I can say seeing it is amazing. Like we were 4 rows from the front, me and my best friend. Could not tell how they did any of the special effects or the magic. It was crazy. So I would say, oh, you don't have it here in India. I would generally say that like if any point you can sometime get over to London or anywhere that does it to see it, it's worth it. It's better to see it than read it. I will say that. If Voldemort had no Horcruxes, Grindelwald would win. But Voldemort was quite a strong wizard, even without the Horcruxes. Like, he was very strong for his age. Like, he didn't need the Horcruxes. He was a strong wizard to begin with. So I don't know. Tom Riddle persuades Ginny to write on wall. True. True. Tom Riddle persuades Ginny to. Well, yeah. Yeah, that was young Tom Riddle, not. Yeah, so it's not essentially Voldemort. And then. I get what you mean there. I don't know why I keep drinking this. It's going cold, but it's still nice. Dumbledore was the only one you know who feared, and Grindelwald's just powerful. Dumbledore, yeah, Dumbledore feared both of them. To be fair, I think that obviously he couldn't fight Grindelwald because of the Blood Pact. I don't. Has everyone here seen Fantastic Beasts, and do they know of that? Just making sure. Yeah, because Dumbledore couldn't fight Grindelwald because of the Blood Pact, but I think they made that so they couldn't fight each other because they know they're both too powerful for each other. So yeah, and Voldemort feared Dumbledore so much because Dumbledore knew Tom inside out, knew what he knew what he was doing. Okay, imagine the movies if they had the second movie, Tom. Wow, yeah. I think we all wanted him to come back, but he was near his 30s when he did Chamber of Secrets. He was old, but he looked young. So I guess the more they went on, it's like he looked a bit too older to play the student at that point because he was like 29 or his 30s. I want one final film for Fantastic Beasts to round it off. I want to see that battle between them. I really do. Like I was gutted, and it's like it's been put. It's not. They've never necessarily said it's the Fantastic Beasts is cancelled. They just said we're not doing anything with it right now, which probably means it's cancelled. But there's still a bit of hope because I want one final film, just one. Not even the 5 that we were promised. Just one would be nice. We need a film about Tom Riddle at Hogwarts from his POV and how he started making. Yes. Everyone's thinking, though, with the TV show that's going to be coming out, hopefully. I say hopefully, I don't know. I'm still 50-50. That it could lead to spin offs. Like when they get to Prisoner of Azkaban, it could lead to a spin off because everyone wants a Marauders TV show. I do. And I do want one about Voldemort. Like, that was the whole thing in the Half Blood Prince film that they missed out. All of Voldemort's backstory was basically taken out. And there's so much more. And I want a film solely based on that. If possible. Limit those possibilities and they're not going down them. And I think also that would help people to understand Voldemort's character too. Like how his mother was and how his father left him because he was under a love potion, and as soon as the mum took him off the love potion, he went. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Both Wizarding World exists, and we're all just. Don't say that. I don't want to be a muggle. I don't want to be a muggle. No. I want to see a Bellatrix spin-off show and how she fought Aurors and yes, yes. It's so horrible to say how much I love Bellatrix Lestrange. It's just the way she's so crazy and unhinged and unpredictable that she's scary. Like she scares me more than Voldemort sometimes because you don't know what she's unpredictable, and she's such a cool character. I think if anyone asked me who would you play in Harry Potter, I would want to pick Bellatrix or Molly Weasley. One of the two. She was a savage, loved it. Yeah, I like how she taunts people. She's like she plays with her food before she kills it. Just a little bit of torture and then bam. I still can't forgive her what she did to Dobby, but excuse me. I need to get a drink of water at some point in my throat. That happened. Yeah. I knew it was coming. I remember seeing that moment at the cinema. I knew it was coming, and then I started crying, and my mum went, "What?" And I pointed at the screen, and tears just came from her eyes. She didn't have to build it up. Tears just came from her eyes, crying. She loved Dobby. Because she's like, "Is Dobby not in this more?" And I'm like, "He is in the books. He's just not in the film." Dobby had to iron his hands. She laughed at that. I've been to the beach where Dobby. Oh, have you? I've still to go. It's in Wales, right? It's in Wales. That's one place I need to go at one point. I'll be telling my best friend, we're not going to London this year. We're going to Wales. We're going to go see where Dobby died. I would love to visit. Dobby's an icon. That he is. Free the house elves. Free the house elves. There's a lot of stones with. I know. There's a lot of stones with Dobby picks and socks. I thought they weren't supposed to leave socks anymore. Because there's always articles about it that they were going to take Dobby's grave down, and then but you couldn't leave socks because that was the thing. That was like you can't leave socks because obviously they disintegrate, and I don't know. They do it anyway. Yeah, they do it anyway. I'd probably like to get a stone and paint it before I go, and then take it with me and put it down. I'd probably cry. Poor Dobby. So it's like one of those things, like, because obviously today King's Cross was you weren't allowed to really go. Like, well, not you weren't allowed to go. They weren't doing Hogwarts. They weren't doing the back to Hogwarts there, but I'm pretty sure people still probably just went to stand there for 11 o'clock because that's what we do. We did that. That's so cute. No, I really need to go to more film locations at some point. There's a lot of things I want to do. Just I'm stuck in a body that doesn't like me. All right. A few days ago, I visited the house where Voldemort killed Lily and James. Oh, cool! Where is that? Where exactly is that? Because I see people go, but I'm probably far away from it. Because I live in the Highlands, so I'll have to like travel loads. Though near me is the Jacobite steam train, Dumbledore's grave, and Hagrid's hut. It's in a village called Lack. Oh, okay. Yes. Oh yeah, the Black Lake's near me as well. Like that's where that one is as well. It's in the village Lack. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. They filmed Slughorn's hideout there. Yes, that's it as well. They used yes. I want to go. Like I see a lot of people going to the place that looks like Malfoy Manor, and I want to go. Need to go there too. I do love Slughorn. I just love Jim Broadbent. He's so funny. Merlin's beard. It's awkward taking pics because it's yeah, that would be awkward taking pictures because it's someone's house. It's the same with in Claremont Square in London. Grimmauld Place is 28 Claremont Square is actually someone's house, but they put up Creature and a Murder's map so you know that's the house. So I didn't really take a photo in front of it. I was just like, no. Case Warrior. Hi. Hi everyone who's come in. We're just having Harry Potter chats now. I have finished reading these two. I will stop this stream in a wee bit and then I will take a break, come back and read 5 and 6. And I have already done 1 and 2. There are video. It's up on my channel if you want to go back and watch. It would be cool at Halloween living in a. Oh yeah. That was my favorite thing. I went to the studio tour where they had when it was the dark arts and they had the floating pumpkins. I was in my heaven because I love Halloween so much. Like I have Halloween decorations up all year round. Obviously, you don't see it because this is the Harry Potter section. The bit out of here is all Halloween. I love Halloween so much. Oh, that's why I'm excited. We're nearly in spooky. We're like in spooky season right now. It's so exciting. Though I've never actually done a Harry Potter as a Halloween costume. I've never done a Harry Potter character for a Halloween costume. I think it's because everyone thinks I'm going to, but I prefer to do other characters from other things because I dress in Harry Potter all the time practically. It is a vibe. Cozy nights in, hot chocolate, movies, sweeties. Like it's just a whole thing. I did Hermione. Oh, cool. I do have a Hermione cosplay that I got recently. I found out secondhand on Vinted actually. I found the clothes to make her Prisoner of Azkaban outfit with the pink hoodie. And I took one photo in it. I've still yet to do videos in it because I've just not had the time or energy. And I do have Luna outfits, like 2. Then I obviously have like my Ravenclaw robes and things. Yeah, I did pink HP hoodie jeans. Yeah, the classic Hermione one that everyone loves because everyone loves Prisoner of Azkaban Hermione. When she punches Draco in the face. People are joining. Hi, if you're here, if you're new. Yeah, that cracked me up. I think everyone loved it. You didn't even expect her to do it. It was just like she turned around and you thought she was going to leave it, and then boom, punched him in the face. It was brilliant. As Ron would say, not good, brilliant. It's so fun. I like it when serious fight. That Tom wasn't expecting that. No, I. As much as Lupin's my favorite character, I have a weird thing. I have a not a fear where like it's a stupid fear because they're not real. I hate werewolves. Like I'm scared of them. I don't like werewolves at all. And given the fact that Lupin's my favorite character, it's weird. But that fight between them, I can't look at it. I'm like, no, let me know when it's gone. I can't. Just thinking about it makes me go, ooh. Like I can't watch his werewolf transformation. I can't. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it's awful. I hate them. Not that I hate them. I just don't like. I get terrified. I think it was as a kid. It was this, and you hate Penrith Grey, but you that you. Yes, I do. Yes. Message retracted. Did you meant to say Fenrir Greyback? I hate Greyback. Yes, I do. Literally makes me want to be sick. Bless the poor guy, because the actor. It's not the actor's fault. Bless him, he's passed away. No, Fenrir Greyback. Oh no. Yeah, I don't like Fenrir Greyback. Literally makes me like scared. It's all correct. I knew who you meant. It's fine. I knew who you meant because when you say Greyback, I'm like, well, that's Fenrir Greyback. It was this film, Prisoner of Azkaban, and the Doctor Who episode Tooth and Claw was out around that time. Those two started the fear, and I've never gone over it. Where do you guys live? I live in Scotland. I'm Scottish. I don't have that broad an accent, but I like how the story about why he bit Lupin is. Oh my god, yeah. Like it's actually terrifying, that story. It scared me more. Well, that's nice, pretty. But yeah, I live in like the Highlands. So when you're coming into where I live, it's like beautiful scenery and winding roads and Hi, Julianne. Welcome. How is he waiting at? How he was waiting at night was Yeah, he was just waiting. He's just there because obviously he doesn't. turn back to human form because he's too much of a wolf. He doesn't change back. So he's just permanently like that. Ugh. Have you ever been to... No, I haven't. Has my gran been? Someone in my family has. I can't remember who. But I haven't been to India, no. Fuck my hair. I just love how I've stopped... Like, I keep saying this. I just love how I stopped that reading the book about 30 minutes ago and we're still talking. It's so cool. Like, even photos, like character art that I seen of Greyback terrified me as a kid. I love the fight when Dumbledore's with Draco, the Order, and the Death Eaters in the book. Yeah. Yeah. It's little things like that and they miss, and I'm like, that didn't happen like that. And then you have to remember going, that wasn't in the book, was it? And you're like, oh, what? The thing with the films, sadly, they have to miss stuff. You should come sometime, like maybe in October, November. The weather is nice. I'll see. I'll see, because sometimes I'm not up for traveling. I have an illness. It's annoying, but. And then my partner and I both want to go to like New York at some point. Mainly me for the Harry Potter store, but I do want to go to New York. Yeah, Half Blood Prince. That's what I mean. The film is awful, but the book is amazing. I love it. It's my second favorite book, but I say hate's a strong word. I just dislike how they did it. Tried to make it too rom-com and funny, and the more I watch it, the more I detest it. Nice. I'll see if I can find the photo that actually scared me of Greyback, because there was a character drawing of him, and it terrified me so much. Let me see if I can find it. This is a nice city. I'd love to settle there once more. Yeah, I would love to go just to visit it at some point, because I've always wanted to go to New York. I don't know why. I think it's because I did acting for most of my time, so I'm like, I'd love to go to see a Broadway show or something. He's the most scary wolf in existence. Yep. Honestly, where is that drawing of him? That makes me absolutely terrified of him. He's even trying to spell his name. There we go. There it is. I found it, and I'm scared. This photo of him. Oh, God. That. Oh. I can't even look at it. That terrified. Oh, my God. That. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. No, thank you. Go away. That's horror movie stuff. Yes. Sorry, guys. I'm also just checking messages. Because while I'm on here trying not to check my phone, I'm just checking because there's a lot of Harry Potter stuff going on today. I won't be able to sleep. I literally can't sleep after I watch anything with a horror thing in it. Like horror films, fine. I love horror films. Just anything with a werewolf, I will have a nightmare, and I won't sleep. Watch channel. Which watches? Oh, I know her. I know of her. I love her. Like I follow her on Instagram and everything. I do follow her on here. I think she's so funny. Is that the one I'm thinking of? She does McGonagall. Did she do McGonagall? If that's what I'm thinking of, which one it is. Yes, yes, I love her. She's so funny. I follow her on Instagram and that as well. She's so funny. Sorry, just checking my emails as well. Because I'm probably going to have to end this shortly, take a break to go to the loo, and then I'll come back and read 5 and 6. She's up to Half-Blood Prince. I hope we get the first part 1 today. Oh, that'd be fun. She's so hilarious. So I try and do Professor McGonagall's voice, and I can't. I'm just like, and I'm Scottish. I hate my hair. Hi, people have just joined. I know there's a couple more. I finished reading Prisoner and Goblet. We're just chatting Harry Potter now. But I will be reading 5 and 6 very soon. I watch her Umbridge roast. Oh, it's hilariously funny. She's so funny. I love the ones where she's doing like they're doing the dances and then she's trying to teach them all. She's like, we have dance lessons in the Great Hall, and she's like, right, we do this, and she does all the dances. It was funny. Things going on. I'll be here for the 5th, but I have exams in 2 weeks. Oh, that's okay. That like they will be saved, so you can watch it. I know you'd probably like to see it during and live, but like you can watch it again. Don't worry. Like they're all going to be saved on my channel, so you'll be fine. If you comment, I'll try and reply to it when I see it. So you're fine. Don't worry. I know how it feels to have exams. Like, oh, don't I would not want to go back to having exams. I like how she does the staff meetings and Umbridge's job with it. Yes. Albus. She's so funny. But good luck with your exams. By the way, you'll be fine. You just have to take a deep breath. I'm going into year 10, and whoa. Now I feel old. Wow. It's amazing how I meet so many Harry Potter fans, and they're younger than me. But we get on because we like Harry Potter. It's so weird. I'm sure the exams will go fine, and you going into year 10 will be fine. You just take a deep breath, and you'll be fine. Plus, the grade is like a great deal in my country. All right, okay. Is that for any particular reason? Just out of curiosity, I'm not meaning it in a horrible way. I'm just wondering. I've never, like over here, grades do matter, but they don't. They're not. My mum didn't really put. Well, not my mum put pressure on me, but nobody put any pressure on me to get a grade. Like, you know. I just love learning about other countries and their ways. If that sounds bad, sorry. Okay. What are we doing? 10 and 7. Okay. See, I've never gone live in my life, and this has been so fun. I'll stop the stream now. Take a break. Oh, no, it's just that the kind of thing where my whole country gets the same. All right, okay. So this is the kind of thing. All right, okay. Yeah, no, we don't get the same exam over here. We get like depending what level you're on. Well, it's changed dramatically since I was in school, so I'm not sure what it is now. But we always had people on very different levels, so you would get like very easy, medium, and hard, depending what class you were in. I was never was I in a hard one? Yes, I was in one higher class, and then the rest were about medium, easy. Still failed them, some of them, but you live and you learn. But I'm sure you'll do fine. You just have to take a deep breath. You know what you have to do, and just don't. It's easy to say, just don't panic. You'll be fine. Same question paper for all the people in the same grade. All right, okay. Same question paper for all the people. All right, right. So it's almost the same. I mean, I, but I'm not. I was bad at. I'm not that I was bad at school. I just the only things that interested me were music, art, and drama. I wasn't interested in anything else. No, I don't have that kind of a thing. We go according to our age. Oh. We do go according to our age sometimes, but when you get into like the middle of the school, like the middle of like the academy here, it's you're all the same age, but you get split. You use the first 2 years you're there to see how you do, and then in your third, fourth, fifth, and sixth year you get moved, depending on what you've done. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, no, I wish I was better at school, but I just wasn't. But what can you do? Okay, I need to go to. You get me? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to finish this now because I need to go to take a bathroom break and then take a break, get some water, and recharge for a little bit because I have to get through five. I think five is one of the big chapters, if I remember when I recorded it. And six. And then I'll take another break, and then we'll be back with 19 years later. I can't believe I've been doing this since like 11:15, and it's nearly 2:30. That is crazy. But it was lovely to talk to everyone afterwards. It's nice to speak to people who love Harry Potter just as much as I do. So it's fun. And speaking to people from different parts of the world. It's insane. Um, if you can't come back for the fifth one, good luck with your exams. I'm sure you'll do fine. You can do it. And I will see you guys in about 15, 20 minutes. Thank you guys.